Have you ever looked back on a relationship, whether with a colleague, a friend, or even someone you loved, and wondered how you didn't see the warning signs sooner? At first, they seemed disarmingly kind, maybe even magnetic, but slowly, almost invisibly, they began to drain you. Not through loud fights or open hostility, but with subtle cuts, small distortions of truth, moments that made you question your memory, your worth, even your sanity. Psychopaths rarely announce themselves. They don't need to shout or rage to create havoc. Their cruelty often arrives dressed in charm, a polished smile that hides intent sharper than a blade. They study people the way a hunter studies prey. And if you're not paying attention, you won't notice the trap until you're already inside it. This is why the Stoics warned us not to hand over our minds carelessly. For it is in our judgment, not in events, that harm takes root. And when you stand too close to a person who has no conscience, you risk losing the one thing that is yours alone, your peace. In this video, we'll uncover 7 signs that reveal when you're not just facing a difficult personality, but a dangerous one. These aren't meant to instill fear. They are meant to sharpen your awareness so you can walk more wisely in a world where masks are everywhere. So stay with me, listen closely, because what you hear today might not only shift how you see others, it might protect you from years of hidden harm. As we step into the first chapter, picture this. You walk into a room and someone's presence immediately pulls you in. Their gaze feels steady yet warm. Their words flow with uncanny ease, touching on topics that matter to you as if they'd been studying your life. Within minutes, you feel seen in ways that friends of years have never managed. Something inside you whispers, "This must be fate. This must be rare." But sometimes what feels like destiny is only disguise. What feels like a spark of connection is the first flicker of something far more dangerous. Psychopaths don't come draped in shadows. They don't slam into your world screaming danger. They arrive with roses, with compliments, with a familiarity so intimate it feels otherworldly. They whisper what you've always longed to hear. And because of that, they're rarely spotted until it's too late. Their charm is not a gift. It's a tactic. Genuine charm is like a campfire, steady, warm, available to anyone who comes close. But their charm is a spotlight, harsh, narrow, and always turned toward their chosen target. They notice what makes you unique, then they file it away. Like an actor memorizing a script, your passion for jazz, your love for hiking, the tremor in your voice when you speak of childhood dreams. They mirror it all back to you until it feels as though you've met your reflection in another body. I knew a man once who felt deeply for someone he described as the perfect echo of his soul. She quoted his favorite authors, matched his habits, even claimed to share his obscure love for 17th century history. He thought he had discovered rare kinship, but when he disagreed with her publicly on something trivial, her face hardened. The warmth vanished. A flash of contempt replaced her smile. That was the mask slipping. He hadn't found his reflection. He'd found a performance. This is not connection. It is camouflage. And here the Stoics offer clarity. Epictetus warned, "Appear are not reality." With a psychopath, appearances are not simply misleading. They are weaponized. What you take as synchronicity is often choreography. What feels like fate is often design. And yet the truth hides in the shifts because the mask doesn't stay intact forever. The charm only endures as long as you're compliant. The moment you set a boundary, the moment you question a story, the shift arrives. Coldness creeps in, cruelty sharpens. A person who once seemed tender suddenly feels dismissive, even mocking. You stand bewildered, replaying interactions in your mind. Was it me? Did I say the wrong thing? Number, what you saw was exposure. You glimpsed the reality behind the illusion. But here's the trap. Because the charm was intoxicating, your mind scrambles to rationalize. Maybe they're tired. Maybe I overreacted. Maybe I should just let it go. And in doing so, you silence the very instinct designed to protect you. You begin to bend. You smooth over cracks. You explain away cruelty. And that too is their strategy. Psychopaths are masters at discovering what you hunger for. Love, recognition, belonging. They feed you just enough to keep you tethered. But their affection is never free. It is conditional. transactional. The moment you cease to serve their story, you are not just ignored. You are discarded or turned into a threat. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." The soul of a psychopath is dyed not by virtue but by mimicry. They don't cultivate character. They cultivate personas. They don't feel deeply for others. They perform emotion with the skill of an actor, always adjusting the lines, always shifting the mask. Why do intelligent, grounded people fall for this? It doesn't feel fake, it feels tailored. But that tailoring is not love, it's design. Real intimacy is patient. It deepens with time, with consistency, with tested trust. Illusion is immediate. It overwhelms. It sweeps you off your feet because it's meant to. I recall a woman who described her first months with a man she thought was her soulmate. He seemed to know her thoughts before she spoke them. He adored her, praised her, mirrored every passion. But 3 months later, when she said no to her financial request, he turned on her. The man who once called her his muse mocked her as selfish. That is the moment she saw what had been hidden all along. The affection was never love, it was leverage. The Stoics believed instincts whisper truth before reason is caught up. That unease in your stomach, that's not paranoia. That's wisdom quietly warning you to look beyond appearances. Trust it. If you find yourself saying, "I've never met anyone like them," if the bond feels overwhelming, accelerated, choreographed, pause, step back, look again, ask yourself, is their attention steady, or does it vanish when you express needs? Do they respect boundaries or only until no escapes your lips? Is the connection balanced, or are you always the one adjusting, excusing, appeasing? Because if you notice the cycle, idealization, then sudden distance, then contempt, you are not in the hands of an ordinary partner. You are standing before someone dangerous. Not all charm is harmful, but when charm feels too perfect, too rehearsed, too swift, it is rarely safe. The Stoics remind us people not by their words, but by the consistency of their actions. Superficial charm is not a gift, it's bait, the mask of false connection, the first illusion. And when you see it for what it is, the wisest move is simple. Step back before the fire spreads. Sometimes the bravest act is not to fight the mask, but to walk away. That, my friend, is your first cue to run. Moving into the second chapter, imagine this. You're holding a blue coffee mug. You know it's blue. You see it. You feel its weight in your hand. Yet across the table, someone looks you dead in the eye and says with unwavering confidence, "That's a red teacup." At first you laugh. You assume it must be a joke. But their face doesn't break. They insist. They double down. They tell you maybe the light is playing tricks. Or maybe your memory isn't as sharp as you thought. And suddenly, in a small corner of your mind, doubt begins to whisper. What if I'm wrong? This is the battlefield you enter when a psychopath begins their work. Their weapons aren't fists or knives, they're words. Words that twist reality until you no longer trust what your own eyes have seen, what your own heart has felt. These are not ordinary lies. They are carefully constructed illusions, artists of deception. They rebuild the world one false detail at a time. Not to cover mistakes, but to dominate the narrative. Not to ease conflict, but to control perception, and eventually to make you doubt your very sanity. The lies come in layers, small at first, almost trivial. They'll tell you they stopped at a cafe when you know they didn't. They'll claim they sent a message you never received. At first it feels pointless. Why lie when the truth would have caused no harm? But that's the point. For them, lying isn't a necessity. It's a demonstration, a show of power to prove they can create a universe in which only their voice carries authority. Here's where it gets darker. They don't just lie, they gaslight. They'll deny what you clearly heard them say. They'll accuse you of being too sensitive when your reaction is perfectly reasonable. They'll look you straight in the face and tell you something never happened when you both know it did. And over time, your certainty begins to erode. You replay conversations late at night, searching for the truth in the echoes. You apologize for things you didn't do, not because you were wrong, but because you've been conditioned to feel guilty. This isn't miscommunication, it's psychological warfare. The Stoics understood how fragile perception can be. Epictetus warned, "We are not disturbed by things, but by the views we take of things." And what happens when another person hijacks those views? When someone learns to steer your perception like Rez on a horse, the disturbance no longer belongs to the outside world. It belongs to you, living rentry in your own mind. That is the slow destruction a psychopath engineers, not by attacking your body, but by colonizing your thoughts. I once knew a woman who kept a small journal just to write down what happened each day. Not for nostalgia, but for survival. Her partner had a way of denying the simplest events. A dinner they'd skipped, a cruel remark they'd made, even a gift she knew she'd bought with her own hands. When she'd confront him, he'd smile and say, "You're remembering it wrong." Over time, she began to doubt her own memory, so she wrote things down. And still, when she showed him the words in her own handwriting, he told her she must have written them in a moment of delusion. This is the depth of distortion, where even proof loses its grip. Another tactic is triangulation. They'll whisper to a coworker that you've spoken against her and then tell you she's suspicious of you. Neither side hears the truth, but both feel the poison. Suddenly you're isolated, doubting alliances turning inward. And there they stand at the center of the chaos, the one person who seems steady, the one who knows the full story. They spin a web where every strand leads back to them. And once caught, you begin to depend on them to explain your own life to you. What makes their deception so convincing is the seasoning of truth. They'll sprinkle real details into falsehoods, like a chef spicing a dish. Just enough familiarity to make the fiction palatable. And when you finally catch them, when you bring receipts, screenshots, timelines, they don't crumble. They escalate, they deflect, they echo, they turn the spotlight on you until you're the one scrambling to defend yourself, even when the truth is in your hand. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth, which never harmed anyone." But that is the very distinction. A man of virtue seeks truth even when it hurts. A psychopath seeks only control. And for them, truth is never sacred. It is clay to be molded, bent, weaponized. The real damage is not in one lie or one denial. It's in the cumulative effect. The exhaustion that creeps in when you can no longer trust your memory. When your instincts feel muted, when you hesitate to believe your own eyes. That is the slow erosion of the inner compass. And once you've lost that, you become easy to steer. So ask yourself, do you find yourself constantly confused about what actually happened? Do you apologize more than you used to, often for things you didn't do? Do you feel a growing sense of anxiety that never existed before this relationship began? If so, you may already be entangled in their fog. This is the second and perhaps most dangerous sign: pathological lying and the distortion of reality. It's not merely manipulation, it's occupation. A calculated campaign to replace your truth with theirs. And when your own thoughts no longer feel safe, when even your memories are up for debate, you know you've stepped into their maze. The Stoic path urges you to reclaim what is yours, your clarity, your reason, your perception. For in a world of deception, holding fast to truth is rebellion. So when you feel the fog closing in, when your own voice grows faint under the weight of their narrative, step back, step out. Guard your peace with the same intensity you would guard your life, because in their world of red teacups and false vermin, your greatest act of freedom is to say, I will see with my own eyes. I will trust my own mind. I will not surrender my truth. And that, my friend, is how you know it's time to walk away before their lies become the language of your soul. Advancing to the third chapter, we begin with silence. Not the peaceful kind, but the silence of a hollow room where echoes replace presence. By now, we've seen how charm can disarm, how lies can entangle. But what cuts deeper is not just what a psychopath does, it's what they cannot do. Now imagine sitting at a piano, fingers trembling as you play a piece that carries your whole soul. Each note carries memory, loss, longing. Around you, eyes moisten, hearts are moved, and beside you sits someone who notices the scene, who remarks, "That was beautiful," yet feels nothing. No stirring, no resonance, just recognition without response. That is how a psychopath meets human emotion from the outside in. They can observe, they can label, they can even mirror what they think you want to see, but they cannot feel it. What you live with depth, they perform with calculation. Where you bleed authenticity, they rehearse imitation. This is not emotional immaturity, it is absence. The Stoics knew that to live rightly is not just to reason well, but to act with virtue, compassion, justice, connection. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What injures the hive injures the bee." A psychopath does not live by this law. They do not see the hive. They see only themselves. To them, others are not fellow travelers, but tools, resources, props in their private play. And so they smile when you suffer. They grow restless when you share your fears. When life breaks your heart, they deliver words that sound flawless, timed perfectly. But something inside you notices the void. The presence is missing. Their comfort is performance. Their care rehearsed. Their empathy scripted. I once listened to a man describe how he handled his partner's grief. He said all the right things. He cooked meals. He offered words of comfort. He sat by her side. But as he spoke, I realized something chilling. He wasn't describing love. He was describing strategy. Every gesture had been calculated, not felt. And when she finally broke, when she cried harder, he admitted it bored him. That is the absence I speak of. Here's the danger. They don't just fail to feel, they study you. They learn your emotional language like a second tongue. They appear caring, protective, invested until you've handed them your soul. And then what you gave as trust becomes their weapon. You confess your anxiety, and one day they sneer. You're too fragile to be loved. You share your fear of abandonment, and they withdraw just to watch you unravel. You open your heart, and they turn it into ammunition. This isn't clumsiness, it's precision. They are emotionally fluent, but ethically bankrupt. And so when you need them most, when the storms of life press hardest, they vanish. Or worse, they mock you for needing it all. The mask of empathy falls when consistency is required. Seneca once said, "No man is crushed by misfortune unless he has first been deceived by prosperity." With a psychopath, this is the very deception. They make you believe you found someone who sees you fully, but what they see is opportunity. What they see is gain. And what haunts them most is not what they do, but what they don't. They don't comfort when you cry. They don't pause when they wound you. They don't reflect. They don't grow. They don't regret. Their inner world is like a hall of mirrors. All surface, no depth, every reflection empty, every angle distorted. I knew someone who described it this way. I felt lonely even in his arms. That is the mark. You can be in the same room speaking your soul, yet feel unseen, unheard, untouched. Because what they mirror is not presence, it is mimicry. So ask yourself, do your most vulnerable truths meet with silence, with analysis, or with betrayal? Does their compassion feel warm, or does it feel like a performance on borrowed time? Do you feel more alone with them than without them? If so, take notice. This is the third sign, the lack of empathy, the absence of depth, the hollow mask where a soul should be. And here the Stoics remind us, align yourself with truth, not with appearances. Not everyone who acts like they care is capable of care. To cling to a void is to be crushed by it. To try to fill it is to lose yourself inside it. So if you see the emptiness behind their performance, don't waste years trying to awaken what has never lived. Protect your peace. Guard your heart. Walk away. If this speaks to you, let me know in the comments with a single word: clarity. Because clarity is what saves you. And if you're finding strength in these words, subscribe for more so you'll never face these truths alone. The mask is slipping layer by layer. And as we move forward, the signs will grow sharper, the truth even harder to ignore. But that is the gift of awareness. Once you see, you cannot unsee. And once you know, you can choose. Entering the fourth chapter. Picture the moment when pain passes from being accidental to deliberate. You've been hurt before by friends who misunderstood you, by loved ones who lost their temper, by life itself and its unpredictable cruelty. But this is different. This is the moment you realize the one standing before you has wounded you deeply and feels nothing at all. No guilt, no pause, not even the faintest flicker of concern, only the cold silence of indifference. That silence is not just unsettling, it's the mark of something darker. For most of us, hurting another human being ignites a response in the conscience stirs, the heart grows heavy. There's an urge to make things right, even if clumsily. That heaviness is proof of humanity. But when you deal with a psychopath, that voice does not exist. The wound they inflict is not followed by hesitation or remorse. At times, it's met with amusement, as though your pain is not tragedy, but entertainment. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." Yet how do you respond when the one who harms you doesn't even acknowledge the act as injury? This is the fourth sign. A total absence of remorse coupled with a deliberate cycle of harm. What sets this apart is not the mistake itself, it's the pattern. Anyone can falter once. But psychopaths follow a script written in repetition. Injury, denial, detachment again and again until your soul feels worn thin. They break your trust, then feign offense when you call it out. They manipulate, then label you dramatic. They slash at your peace, then leave you to stitch the wound yourself and somehow convince you that your bleeding is your fault. Their art lies not in apology, but in inversion. You step forward to express pain, and by the end of the exchange, you are the one apologizing, not because you were wrong, but because you were made to feel wrong for feeling it all. That inversion corrodes your sense of self. You ask for recognition of your hurt, and they shrug with lines like, "You're overthinking it," or "That's not how it happened." And soon the damage is not merely emotional, it is existential. You begin to question whether your experiences even belong to you. Yet let this truth settle into your bones. Your pain is real. Their indifference is proof, and that proof is more damning than any confession. The Stoics believe that remorse is not weakness, but a compass, a sign that you can still tell the difference between right and wrong. Epictetus reminded us, it is not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them. The psychopath's opinion of harm is simple. It means nothing, not because it doesn't, but because they choose to erase its meaning. And in that eraser lies the greatest danger. They don't just cause harm, they normalize it. They betray without hesitation, then sleep soundly. They sabotage trust, then call it necessity. Sometimes they even grow energized by the wreckage, as though each piece of destruction fills the emptiness inside them. Relationships are not bonds to them, they are stages, and pain is just another prop in the performance of control. They do not lose sleep over betrayal. In fact, betrayal is part of the choreography. Watch their pattern closely. It rarely changes. First, they idealize, showering you with praise, making you feel indispensable. Then they exploit, draining your energy, your time, your confidence. Finally, they discard, walking away with eerie calm, as if leaving the very fire they lit. And when they stay, it isn't out of love. It's because the cycle hasn't finished. They reset it, drawing you back into the same spiral of hurt, denial, and blame. What makes this cycle unbearable is their rationalization. You made me do it. I had no choice. If you hadn't pushed me, I wouldn't have reacted. These aren't explanations. They are reversals. They twist the moral weight of the injury, laying it on your shoulders. Now, not only are you hurt, you're guilty for being hurt. The knife cuts twice. I once heard a story of a man whose partner routinely belittled him in front of others. When he finally confronted her, she looked him in the eye and said, "If you weren't so sensitive, it wouldn't have been a problem." That line haunted him, not because it excused her, but because he almost believed it. That is the power of repetition. When cruelty is constant and remorse is absent, the target begins to adopt the lie. But here is the reality you must remember. The clearest form of regret is change. And when there is no change, there is no regret, only manipulation. Look not at their apologies, but at their patterns. If the damage repeats, then remorse does not exist, no matter how convincing the words sound. So ask yourself, are they consistently harming and never learning? Do they deflect accountability with every confrontation? Do they minimize your suffering as though it were an exaggeration? Have you caught yourself explaining away their cruelty as though it were your mistake? If yes, then you are not facing immaturity. You are facing extinction of conscience. And nothing corrodes the soul more than constant contact with one who has none. Seneca once said, No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself. But here the adversity is not life's natural test. It is intentional harm, a storm manufactured by design. To stay in that storm is not to grow, it is to drown. True connection requires remorse, the willingness to pause, to reflect, to change. When we have hurt another, without it, there is no bridge between two souls, only a battlefield. And when someone shows you again and again that they can inflict pain without remorse, believe them. That is who they are. This is sign number 4, zero remorse and the relentless cycle of harm. It is not a phase. It is not a misunderstanding. It is identity revealed. And once revealed, you have a choice. Not to argue, not to explain, not to negotiate, but to step away with your peace intact. Because in the hands of one who feels no guilt, your suffering is not a burden. It is a tool, and the only way to break the cycle is to remove yourself from their stage before the next act begins. At this stage, imagine a vine wrapping itself around a tree. At first, it looks harmless, even beautiful, green against the bark, a touch of life clinging close. But slowly, steadily, it begins to tighten. It climbs higher, consuming the tree's light, its strength, its space to grow. Until one day, the tree that once stood tall has been drained into weakness while the vine thrives. That's the nature of parasitism. And in human form, it's the 5th sign you're dealing with a psychopath. Some people lean on you in hard times. Others make mistakes and take more than they should. But this is different. This is systematic extraction of your kindness, your energy, your money, your time. Psychopaths don't create lives of their own. They attach themselves to others and feed. They consume until there is nothing left to take. And when you are emptied, they vanish, leaving only the hollow shell of what you once were. The strategy follows a clear pattern. First, they idealize. They lift you high, showering you with praise and attention. You feel chosen, seen, essential. But this elevation is not built on love. It is preparation for the fall, because once you're on the pedestal, they begin to devalue. The shift is subtle. A mocking comment here, a comparison there. You find yourself shrinking, adjusting, working harder to avoid their contempt. And all the while you bend and compromise, they are extracting. At first it's dinner, then it's rent, then a sudden loan for an emergency, then an opportunity you can't miss. They may move into your space just for a while, just until things stabilize. But weeks become months, and soon what was yours is theirs. Your time, your resources, even your privacy. It happens slowly enough that you justify it, telling yourself it's temporary, telling yourself you're being supportive. But to them, this isn't borrowing, it's entitlement. Epictetus once said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." A psychopath lives in opposition to this wisdom. They are defined by endless hunger. If you have it, they deserve it. If you won't give it, they'll find a way to take it. It is not mere selfishness. It is a worldview. And the more you provide, the more they believe they are owed. I once heard the story of a woman who opened her home to a partner who claimed to be between jobs. He promised it was temporary. Weeks passed, then months. He stopped searching for work, using her income as his cushion. He filled her space with his habits, his demands, his control. When she tried to draw boundaries, he called her ungrateful, accused her of abandoning him. By the time she ended it, her savings were gone, her confidence shaken. She hadn't just lost money, she'd lost her sense of self. This is how they choose their targets, not at random, but with precision. They are drawn to the kind-hearted, the empathetic, the successful people who give without keeping score. People generous enough to cover the cracks in others. They often strike when defenses are down after loss, burnout, divorce, or transition. Not to help, but to exploit. Because a lowered guard is easier to breach. And once they've taken all they can, they leave, not with guilt, but with eerie calm. Like miners walking away from an empty cave, they move on to the next source. And they often time their departure for your lowest point when you're too depleted to resist. There is no closure, no explanation, just absence. The damage is not only financial, it's existential. You don't just lose possessions, you lose faith in your judgment. You look back and wonder if your kindness was foolish. You question whether the connection was ever real. That shame, that confusion is their final extraction, because even in absence, they are still consuming you. Marcus Aurelius gave us a compass. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. The parasitic mind lives without this compass. They do what benefits them, true or not. They say what manipulates, right or not. And when someone lies without guilt, takes without asking, and drains without conscience, they reveal not just selfishness, but the absence of virtue itself. So pause and ask yourself, do they give as much as they take, or does the balance always tilt their way? Do their needs consistently overshadow yours? Do you feel guilty for setting limits? Do they place the burden of their mistakes on your shoulders? If so, you're not merely dealing with someone inconsiderate. You are standing in the presence of one who sees your life as a supply line and themselves as entitled to its flow. This is sign number 5, the emotional and financial parasite. A pattern disguised as partnership, as romance, as need. But beneath the disguise lies a truth that cannot be ignored. The longer you remain entangled, the more it will drain you. Not only your resources, but your spirit. And so remember this, you are not cruel for saying no. You are not unkind for defending what you've built. You are not selfish for wanting to protect your peace. The one who truly cares will never exploit you. The one who truly sees you will never reduce you to a resource. Recognize the pattern. Step out before the vine tightens further. Protect your ground, your work, your soul. Because the moment you cut the cord, the parasite loses its power and you regain yours. From here, picture a storm chaser standing on a cliff. The winds howl, the ground shakes, debris scatters, yet they smile. For them, the chaos is thrilling. For everyone around them, it's devastating. That's the 6th sign of a psychopath. A life ruled by impulse, shielded by an absolute refusal to take responsibility. We've all known people who crave adventure, the ones who leap into the unknown, who thrive on spontaneity. But here, spontaneity is not joy, it is destruction. Their chase for stimulation leaves broken commitments, fractured trust, and unpaid debts in its wake. And as the dust settles, they whistle and walk away, leaving you to clean the wreckage. The Stoics taught us that freedom lies in discipline, not indulgence. A psychopath lives in defiance of this truth. Their hunger is endless. Routine suffocates them. Structure feels like chains. So they leap job to job, partner to partner, city to city, chasing the next surge of excitement. But unlike the wanderer who seeks growth, they never plant roots. They never repair the damage they leave behind. They thrive on motion, not creation. And the bill, whether emotional, financial, or social, is handed to those closest to them. And when the fallout arrives, it's never their fault. The startup failed because investors didn't believe enough. The relationship collapsed because the partner was unstable. Fired again. The boss was jealous. Their life is a carousel of excuses, each crafted with charisma sharp enough to make you doubt yourself. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." But the psychopath doesn't argue or aspire. They shift blame so convincingly you may even find yourself defending them. Think back. Have you ever been the stable one in a dynamic where chaos was constant? Have you ever paid their bills, covered their mistakes, apologized to others on their behalf? Have you noticed yourself explaining to family and friends why they're just going through a rough patch? That isn't compassion. That is entrapment. Their irresponsibility becomes your burden. And the more you carry, the more they believe it belongs to you. Their greatest trick is how rational their stories sound. They don't just explain, they narrate. They retell events with such conviction that reality bends. It's not merely shifting blame, it's rewriting history. And slowly you begin to lose sight of your own perspective. You forget the pattern because the performance feels persuasive. That is how accountability evaporates. The danger doesn't stop at their words. Over time, their inconsistency becomes the rhythm of your life. You cushion their falls. You stabilize their chaos. You excuse their behavior, and then comes the silence inside you. The silence of self-doubt. You stop confronting. You tolerate more than you thought possible. You wait for the good version to return, the charming, attentive, promising one. And when it does, you convince yourself things will change. But they don't, because their instability is not random. It is strategy. The sudden switch from warmth to cold, affection to rage, certainty to chaos. It isn't mood, it's control. Every swing keeps you off balance. Every contradiction keeps you distracted. They thrive on this imbalance because the moment you are steady, you might see the truth. But when you are constantly adjusting, you cannot resist. The Stoics urged us to pursue clarity not through emotion, but observation. So observe. Notice the patterns, not the promises. Do they vanish when responsibility arrives? Do they leave others to handle the consequences? Do they reinvent themselves without reflection on what they've abandoned? Do they always play the victim in their own tales? If so, you are not witnessing misfortune. You are witnessing design. And perhaps the cruelest cost is not the chaos itself, but what it teaches you. You begin to expect instability. You brace for impact every day. You measure peace in hours, not in seasons. That distortion of normally is how you lose yourself. Life becomes survival, not living. But the Stoics reminded us life is not meant to be endured like a siege. It is meant to be lived with clarity, steadiness, and purpose. Seneca wrote, It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. And nothing wastes life more than walking alongside someone who destroys and denies without end. So if someone leaves broken promises like footprints, if they rewrite their failures into your guilt, if their chaos becomes the atmosphere you breathe, see it for what it is. This is the sixth sign, reckless impulse shielded by endless blame shifting. It is not a quirk, it is not bad luck. It is a deliberate pattern, and if you stay near, you will burn with them. Walk away, not from anger, but from wisdom. For as Epictetus declared, no man is free who is not master of himself, and anyone who refuses mastery of their own actions will never allow you freedom beside them. Entering the 7th chapter. Imagine walking into a room where the air feels heavy, though nothing has been said. You sense tension but can't name its source. Words twist, glances linger, and somehow everyone begins to feel unsettled. Then you realize this is not coincidence. This is design. Some people create peace wherever they go. Others create storms. And psychopaths, they weaponize chaos. To them, calm is suffocating. Stability feels like chains. Harmony is simply the silence before they strike. They don't stumble into drama. They manufacture it. Chaos is not their accident, it is their stage. While you scramble to resolve conflict, they stand off to the side, detached, watching, studying, adjusting. And when the dust clears, they're the only ones untouched. While everyone else is left fractured, picture how it unfolds. They ignite subtle tension, one misplaced comment, one distorted retelling of your words. A group of friends begins to argue, not realizing the spark was planted by a single hand. At work, colleagues suddenly mistrust each other without knowing why. You find yourself in conversations so twisted you no longer remember what the original issue was. That's the power of engineered chaos. Confusion becomes their camouflage, drama, their dominance. And if you dare to confront them, they have their lines ready. You're too sensitive, you're imagining things. Everyone else seems fine. It must be you. That is the final turn of the knife. They provoke your reaction, then present your response as proof that you are the problem. The Stoics warned us of this centuries ago. Epictetus said, if someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. The wisdom is not about blaming yourself. It's about seeing clearly. Once you know the game, you stop playing the porn. Psychopaths are not addicted to conflict by mistake. They thrive in the dust of confusion while you're busy defending yourself, patching relationships, or questioning your own sanity. They remain untouchable. It isn't just psychological warfare, it's psychological theater. The moment you step onto their stage, the script belongs to them, not you. Ask yourself, do you walk away from conversations with this person feeling drained, confused, anxious? Do problems arise from nowhere? Always circling back to them, yet never sticking to them? Do you constantly explain, defend, or apologize for things that weren't yours to carry? That isn't tension. That is orchestration. Here lies the deeper danger. Chaos doesn't just disrupt, it isolates. They turn friends against each other, then position themselves as the neutral voice of reason. They drip-feed conflict into the cracks, then present themselves as the only stable one in the storm. Over time, you stop trusting others. Then more dangerously, you stop trusting yourself. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. But when your thoughts are continually disrupted, reframed, and redirected, how can clarity survive?" That's the true trap. Because when reality blurs, you cling to whatever feels safe, even if it's the very hand causing the chaos. And that is exactly where they want you. Dependent, disoriented, malleable. But the way out isn't confrontation. It isn't explanation. They know exactly what they are doing. The chaos is intentional. And the only way to break free is to deny participation. Choose silence over defense, observation over reaction, distance over engagement. The Stoics didn't tell us to flee conflict. They told us to rise above manipulation to keep our minds untangled, even when the world around us seethes. Seneca wrote, "No man was ever wise by chance. Wisdom is deliberate. It is the choice to stand still while others rage, to see through confusion without feeding it." So if someone in your life seems to consistently generate disorder, if they leave rooms fractured while remaining unscathed, take notice. That is no accident. That is strategy. This is sign number 7. Chaos manufactured to keep you disoriented and dependent. And the only way to win, refuse the stage. Do not defend. Do not explain. Do not unravel what they've so carefully tangled. Let the storm collapse without your presence. Stand still, then walk away. Because peace is not a gift handed to you by others. It is reclaimed the moment you stop surrendering your mind to those who profit from your confusion. You've now walked through the 7 signs that reveal the mask of a psychopath. Remember, you cannot heal someone who chooses harm, but you can protect your own peace. Trust your instincts, honor your boundaries, and choose clarity over confusion. If this message resonates, subscribe for more guidance and comment. Stay free to affirm your strength. Keep moving forward. The next step is waiting, and so is your freedom.